when he was finally using the drill through his head or whatever, the drill stopped working. So he had to seal his head back. After cutting his head open, seal his head back and bring him back to the ward.
He's dead now, and the family is alleging medical negligence. We have details of that. Also tonight, contempt case involving Auditor General and Senior Minister takes a new twist as Chief Justice Enin Yeboah calls for dockets on the case following a petition. But we ask who petitioned the CJ and why. Do stay for details. And medical supplies withdraw. Medical suppliers withdraw their services to some faith-based hospitals as Christian Health Association of Ghana says more of their members owed by the NHIA are being disconnected by the ECG due to inability to settle bills.
Some of the suppliers we went to seize them supply. That aside, we have had information of disconnection, further disconnection from the Electricity Corporation of Ghana.
We'll hear more from the frustrated service providers and the GMA, which has joined calls for government to avert the possibility of hospitals returning to cash and carry.
And in business, government pegs cost of financial sector cleanup so far at 17.7 billion Ghana cedis as receiver begins processes to clear the remaining locked up funds.
Asante Kotoko coach Maxwell Knudi and his players blasted following their shock exit from the MTN FA Cup. Will get a reaction to how Executive Chairman Dr. Kwame ranted at a crisis meeting with the technical team and the playing body when you join me in 50.
And later on, flip side, we test people's ability to recite the Lord's Prayer.
Recite the Lord's Prayer.
Our Mother, who art in earth, high and high again, give us our wicked bread and forgive us our trespasses. Act as our Father do us. Don't do us like that.
Hey, ask us our fathers do us. Don't do us like that.
Our wicked prayer.
I'm waiting for yours. You want to join us with your views and comments? Feel free to do so. Send me a WhatsApp 0244-340437. Newsnight is brought to you by Puma Card from Puma Energy. Cash free convenience. Details after the break.
Your success, our passion.
So how the thing end? My God. So we video call like 2 minutes. Then no, she said make I take over and meet them. But Charlie, as I hang up, we are Rexy, my data finish. See, I roam I no get it by. So I said they come look for another phone.
Hey, my guy, hold up. You see why you for use Vodafone?
I be all be the same data.
Who tell you? Now with Vodafone, whether you get data or not, you go free use the Uber app with no data charges at all.
Hey, you sure?
Oh yeah. Now Vodafone the Uber partner. So even if you get data where you use the Uber app, they not they tell you anything. Where if you no get data safe, Charlie, you the free use the Uber app. Simple. No data matter be where they be safe be say as you they use the app, you the free get free ride. Where it come with some champion discount. You can now order your Uber ride at no data cost and stand a chance to enjoy free rides and amazing discounts. Switch to Vodafone today.
The future is exciting. Ready?
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsnight. Before we talk about the issues of alleged negligence, let's head to the court because the contempt case involving the Auditor General has tonight been put on hold. This is because Chief Justice Kwesi Enin Yeboah is said to have called for the docket on the case involving the Senior Minister Yao Safumafu and the Auditor General Daniel Domelevo. Now, this was disclosed by the judge hearing the case, Doreen Boachi Eje. She explained that it's as a result of a petition that has been sent to the CJ's office on the matter. Now, the Senior Minister, Yao Safumafu, is in court asking that Mr. Domelevo be punished for failing to respond to his case challenging a $1 million surcharge on him. The Auditor General's office had insisted that Yao Safumafu wrongfully caused $1 million to be paid a UK-based consultancy firm, Crow and Associates, to undertake investigations on behalf of the government. Now, he has pointed out that there was no valid contract between the UK company and the Ghana government when Crow and Associates began work in 2017.
Well, Justice Abuacheje, who has been hearing the matter over the past month, urged the lawyers to check on progress of the case from the registrar of the courts. It's not clear at this stage who filed the petition, if there's a petition at all, and what it's seeking to achieve. The case at this stage remains adjourned indefinitely, and from what we understand, because of the Chief Justice's intervention on the matter, interestingly, we sought to find out from lawyers of both sides on whether they filed that petition, but they all said they were not behind it. So who really is behind it? Is this standard practice in cases before the courts? Let's speak to Samson Ladia Yenini, who joins us on the telephone line right now. I mean, for us non-lawyers listening to this high-profile case and the way it's turned out tonight, Samson, is this something which is normal within the practice of law?
All right. First, I'll start by saying that eventually we may discover that a party in the case may be involved, because it is most unusual from what we are learning that all the parties appear to be unaware. It may be the case that the lawyers may be unaware, put politely, but it could be that the parties themselves involved may be aware. People file petitions to the Chief Justice on all sorts of complaints as far as they are users of the court, whether they are lawyers or they are simply litigants, so to speak, plaintiffs, defendants, or accused persons in a matter. And once you discover something going on in the process, the judicial service itself allows you the opportunity to bring to their attention something that is going on that is untoward, particularly if it has to do with the conduct of a judge on a case. So it is possible that the judge, but from my understanding with the lawyers, the judge has not conducted herself in any way that any of the lawyers or parties will feel that there is some prejudice or there is some bias on the judge's part in the conduct of the case, and therefore they may want the judge removed, or, as it were, the case to be taken away from the judge. But often, that is the ultimate end. When these petitions go to the Chief Justice, it is to suggest that a judge is conducting himself or herself in a manner that will not serve the ends of justice or will compromise the case against one party or project it in favor of the other party unfairly. So, on the basis of that, you're able to make through a process where you raise the issue of bias. But our courts have ruled that you don't just raise bias on suspicion, because we live in a society where everybody is connected to somebody else, and therefore to simply say that I may have seen this judge in the company of this person is enough to warrant removing the case from the judge may not be enough. So you have to prove what is known as actual bias. And so some may not proceed in that direction, but they would rather want to have the CJ deal with a question of some misconduct and then reassign the case. It could also be that the case has gone to a court where one party is dissatisfied and feels that the case is of a certain special nature, that it ought to be in a certain specialized court. Now, if you would check, so far cases about surcharge, disallowances have gone to the financial courts, the economic and financial courts in the Republic. I doubt where the case currently is. It clearly is not before one of those courts. But if that were to be the case, the expectation would be that there will be a formal process by one of the lawyers or the parties and openly seeking the judge to have the case remitted back to the registry for the case to go to a different court. It could also be that that's what it is, but from what I suspect, it's most unlikely that the parties are unaware.
Because we're just going to come to that because our court correspondent has checked with both sides, both lawyers, and they all deny being behind it. But to the extent that they've both denied, the issue, purposes of clarity, is it that if you are not a party to the case, you can also file the petition, or can the Chief Justice himself intervene in the matter?
So we keep to the facts as we know it. The facts as we know it is that the representation the judge made in court was that there's a petition that's been filed, and on the back of the petition, the CJ has intervened. The CJ will be performing his normal administrative duty, not particularly in the course of a judge duty, because cases have to be assigned, and it is the CJ's job to do that. Even though for a while now, we understand that there has been a certain electronic system to do this assignment of cases by a certain automatic process or by a certain desk, because the CJ will not have the time to be able to do all of this by himself. So let's keep to what we know, that there's a petition. What I doubt, though, is that a non-party would have been the one who filed the petition, even though that may be novel, it is also possible. But because of, precedent, that's why I suggest that it may be most unlikely that the parties are not connected whatsoever to the petition we are talking about. Initially, I gave myself the possibility that, the CSOs, about over a dozen of them, had written a public statement suggesting that the Auditor General was being harassed, was being unfairly treated, particularly by government officials. So it could be that these CSOs have once again filed this, but what will be their grounds? And what will they be complaining about? That they can enter into the judicial process and seek to stall it. That is what I cannot wrap my mind around, how they are able to get into the picture. So I suppose that in due course, it will be revealed to us who filed what petition and what the person sought. And the CJ will, in the normal course of its administrative duties, will often call for these dockets, and eventually you would find that the case will be reassigned.
We're grateful for your time. That's lawyer Samson Ladi. And you're still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. Of course, many of us would want to know who filed the petition and why that petition was filed. But it remains to be seen in the coming days. Of course, we'll get to know. Now, his head was split open for surgery at a 37 military hospital to allow for the removal of a brain tumor. After his head was cut open, the drilling equipment to be used broke down, Evans. So the doctors pulled the brakes on the process and stitched the head back.
Well, it took a second attempt for them to succeed with the brain surgery. 3 weeks later, guess what? He died. That's the sad story of Solomon Asari Kuma. His brother Iman Lasari Kuma has been narrating what allegedly happened.
He said he didn't have a surgical glue. So we purchased the surgical glue from the States. Got somebody flying down and gave it straight to this person to bring it. So my sister actually collected the surgical glue at the airport, straight to 37 to him. He took my brother to the theater and cut his head open for about 7-8 hour surgery. And he said when he was finally using the drill through his head or whatever, the drill stopped working. So he had to seal his head back after cutting his head open, seal his head back and bring him back to the ward. So this is when I couldn't bear it anymore. So I bought a plane ticket and flew the next day to Ghana. So straight from the airport to 37. So at the time that my brother had a surgery, after the failed surgery where his head was cut open, my sister noticed that his leg was swollen. So he drew the nurse's attention to it. And they did go run a Doppler test in one of outside the hospital, only to find out that my brother had a deep vein thrombosis, DVT. And this was pretty bad. So we had to go to Kolebu Teaching Hospital, the cardiothoracic unit, to do what we call the IVP filter procedure, to put a mesh to kind of block out the blood clots from traveling to his heart or lungs. So we got a procedure done. We paid $5,500 equivalent in cedis to get a procedure done. So it was a week after that procedure was done that Ken Lapia went ahead and did the surgery on my brother. So my brother came and he was admitted to the ICU ward right after the surgery. And he wasn't responsive like he was. He wasn't communicating. It was tough throughout the process at the ICU ward. And the experience that I had, sometimes it was just frustrating. I did have some great nurses and some great medical staff working. However, there were some other processes and procedures that were just so frustrating. Unfortunately, my brother passed on. What happened was, throughout the process, he was connected. Let me even backtrack real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Right after the surgery, a day after, he was sent. Normally before you have surgery, you be briefed out to the process of the surgery and everything. But unfortunately, they didn't even tell us that the CT scan machine wasn't working, so that after the surgery, he was going to be sent outside the hospital. We were not told that. So after the surgery, somebody on life support, now they're telling us that we have to go have a CT scan outside the hospital, Sunshine, in airport. And even so we had to call a private ambulance, income ambulance, for them to come. And even for the ICU staff, it was difficult because they didn't even know how to set up, how to send a guy out. It took 1 hour for them to be brainstorming how the process was going to go about. And you see the state at which my brother was. He was on a ventilator, he was on a monitor. I mean, he has all these gadgets on him. Now they have to, dismantle some of these things, find mobile ones, place it on him, find a way, carry this big old oxygen tank, drag it. It was just the sight of it was so scary. We did that twice, sending him outside the hospital, somebody on life support. And, within this process, we came back and now his breathing, hasn't trouble because of the way the tubes were passed through his mouth and all that stuff. So they had to do intubation, where they cut his throat and put a tube there so he can go to his windpipe. He can, so he can breathe well. And this was connected to a ventilator. Some few weeks after, I'm getting emotional. Some few weeks after, sometimes you go there and man, he'll cough, the tube connecting from his neck to the ventilator. Sometimes this thing would have fluids and stuff in there, man. Sometimes you have to even beg some of these nurses to suction him. It has to take me to go there to do all these. Sometimes you have to even beg some of these nurses to suction him. It has to take me to go there to do all these. Finally, there was one time, understandably, there was some blockage or something happening to the tube passing through his trach. They took this thing out. They told me that that was one doctor over there, Dr. Kuting, and the resident who was taking care of my brother, she's I call her Dr. Mariama. Apparently, they took this tube out, suctioned him, placed it back, and it went through his skin. And if you connect it to the ventilator, I mean, can't you tell whether his chest is rising and falling? I don't even know. So when I went there to visit, they told me to wait. It took probably another hour before they came talk to me that this thing happened. So I should see my brother swelling up. And I mean, they're telling me so I don't get alarmed. Man, when I went and I saw my brother, he was blown up like a balloon. I mean, I use the description because if you actually see the visuals, you understand what I mean. By seeing him less than 24 hours, the day before and after, his face was all swollen, and if you touch him, he feels so soft, like, you know, like a rubber, something. And I calmed myself down because I was so angry. Less than 24 hours. Went there in the morning to go visit. They told me he died of cardiac arrest. I mean, come on, you don't even know what killed him. How come you just tell me he died of cardiac arrest? I mean, I was very, very angry.
Now, the family is alleging that in the midst of this, the surgeon extorted almost 40,000 Ghana cedis from them. Mr. Asarikuma says the family is troubled.
While he was on admission, they came in contact with a neurosurgeon by name Colonel Apia, who did mention that an emergency surgery was necessary at the time. It was a Friday, Thursday or Friday. So since there was an emergency surgery needed, which he said he could have that performed on a Monday, he did require 40,000 Ghana cedis. And he insisted if we could come up with 25,000 Ghana cedis as soon as practicable, then he could get the surgery done. So on the Sunday, I believe it was August 25th, my sister, family members put their heads together and were able to raise 25,000 Ghana cedis, which was given to the surgeon, Ken Lapia. And when you look on the billing, and I mean, this is education for a lot of people. I think basically because my brother had passed on, you know, people are in a rush to pay and take the body and do whatever they want to do with it. But looking through the bill, there were a lot of discrepancies, and we had all receipts. We had every receipt, everything that we paid for. We had a receipt. So some of the labs, for example, we did it outside the hospital. So why do you bill us for it? So we saw that in there. So we tell them, and they say, oh, then they'll cross it out. There were other procedures. For example, when my brother was sent to the surgical theater twice before the main surgery, they had billed us for all that, and we alerted them to it that nothing happened. He was just sent in there. There was no surgery. So why are you charging us for that? Those things were all on the bill. There were other processes and labs, other procedures that, we questioned. And they went ahead, and it's just frustrating because when you go, they tell you to go to the IT guys. The IT guys will tell you to go to maybe the blood bank. And even with the blood bank, the platelets, sometimes you see discrepancies in the amount, and the same process, one is charged maybe like 100 Ghana, the other is like 80 Ghana, so which is which? So if you are not very observant to look at these line items.
So that's Emmanuel Asarikuma, his brother of the late Solomon Asarikuma. Similar sentiments were also expressed on the Super Morning Show today when the issue was discussed. But Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has been verifying the claims. In fact, he spent most of last night there at the 37 Military Hospital. He joins us in studio. I must also say that we have Dr. Eli Atikwi on the line. He's the registrar at the Ghana Medical and Dental Council. We'll get to him shortly. We thank you so much for your time, sir. But Joseph, what have we gathered from the Ghana Armed Forces regarding this particular issue?
So not just at the hospital, but over the last few days, we've been checking with the High Command of the Ghana Armed Forces, with the folks at Bema Camp and all, and looks like it's an issue that's risen to the level of even the Chief of Defense Staff himself from what we gather. Now, the details we gathered from the Ghana Armed Forces is that this was an incident that came up back in August last year. The gentleman died in October. As far as the hospital is concerned, the case is closed. There is no active investigation into what's happening now. When the issue was brought up, the said Dr. Colonel Apia, as he repeatedly mentioned, was actually asked to respond both in writing and verbally, and at the end of that inquiry, they came to the conclusion that there was no further case to investigate. So as far as the hospital is concerned, sometime back in October, November last year, the matter ended, and so there is no active investigation into the issue. And they concluded that he hadn't done anything warranting any further investigation.
Okay. But checking with the hospital, though, what's really their position on this matter? Did they deny that it happened? What exactly have they been telling you?
So they buttress a lot of the points that have been made in the claims made by the family, except to explain the issues. For example, how come the money was handed over to the doctor? The explanation the hospital gives is that they work with a number of pharmacies, including one called Victoria Pharmacy, so that when various accessories are needed for surgeries, then there are two ways around it. You go pay to the pharmacy directly, get the items and bring in, or if you choose to use any medical professional, that also happens. So in this case, in fact, our source makes the point that just maybe the doctor in question acted out of extra care in his decision to step in, take the money, and bring the said accessories. And the receipts issued from Victoria Pharmacy, from what we gather from the hospital, has been double-checked when this matter came up, and the conclusion was that they are genuine and they are not as cooked as the family had claimed.
Okay, so this operation that was aborted at some point, the brain surgery we're talking about, so it happened 3 times. The first one they went, the operation did not happen. The second one, they cut him open.
The second one is when the gentleman's head was split, and then the drilling machine that was to be used broke down, and so then he was stitched back, and then they did the third one when it was eventually presumably successful, except that the gentleman died 3 weeks later, which the family says is linked to how come the procedure went, even the third time that they got it.
And we are told that there was a breakdown of the drilling machine. What explanation did the hospital give?
They say they don't have a lot of equipment. A lot of what they have are single equipment. They don't have backups, so that when the equipment breaks down, then they don't have a choice than to pull brakes on whatever is happening and then find a new one. They make the point that they are not as resourced as sometimes the impression is created. A lot of the equipment that they use are very expensive and has to be bought by central government. They can't raise internal funds to handle some of those, and so they virtually don't have a choice when some of those equipment go down.
So we've heard him say that at a point the deceased was transported for the CT scan. Is that regular?
So the explanation we got is for the last 4 years, the CT scanner at the 37 military hospital has actually broken down and not been used. The last one they had was back in 2008, which broke down as a result of lack of maintenance because maintenance agreement wasn't signed, and so they've entered into MOUs with some of the labs and diagnostic centers around, so that when they can't handle a case, then that case is actually referred to them. So it's in pursuance of that this particular gentleman was sent to the facility in question. And so they say, as far as the hospital is concerned, they give him the best of healthcare, because when he was moved to the facility, there was someone who does anesthesia on board, there was a medical doctor, and a number of other professionals. So he received the best possible.
Joseph, stay with me, stay with us in the studio, but let's head on to the phone lines now. Like I said, the registrar, the Ghana Medical and Dental Council, Dr. Elia Atipui, is with us. Once again, thank you so much for your time here on Newsnight, Dr. Atipui. So, listening to the account of Emmanuel Kuma, for instance, does everything add up for you?
Well, let me first of all wish the family my heartfelt condolence for the loss. What happens is that, well, whether or not it adds up or it does not add up, we really rely on the institutions for their initial investigations. If that is done, we will collect a report, or we also would have collected information from a complainant and the relatives. So, listening to you, it's just information that is coming to us. I have listened to the earlier tape. I had listened to the explanation that has been given to your colleague who was at 37 and at the high command to really gather all the information. I wouldn't be able to state categorically now that everything has added up unless we have obtained further information from the complainant and also from the institution.
But how is it that an institution like this would start an operation, for instance, a brain surgery? You cut the person open, then we are told that there's no drilling machine. Didn't we know? Is it even regular for this to happen?
Well, unfortunately, you see, I really am unable to indicate the type of operation that maybe the surgeon may have really started the operation without really knowing that he needed this particular instrument. But again, I wouldn't want to go into the merits or demerits of this particular case until I have read full reports. You see, if I should get up talking about issues, then I am either speculating or trying to, add things up out of context. I would wish that we receive the detailed report, we consider the report, we get information from the complainant and the other members of the family that we can put all together before we are able to make any informed decision on the whole subject.
And has that process begun, you would say, processes to getting the report on this and all? Have we even started anything at all on this?
Well, fortunately, we had this information sometime last week. Immediately we went to the source. We went to the radio station that broke that information and we requested for a clip. We have also obtained some further information. But I am happy that, the institution so concerned has started its investigation. Unfortunately, we have not yet requested for any report from the information because as we speak now, no report or no complaint has been made to the Medical and Dental Council. However, we have started obtaining some information so that in the event that a report or a complaint is made to the Medical and Dental Council, we expedite or we work on it as early as possible.
Well, in this particular case, we are told the complaint has been filed to the hospital in question. So if you have concerns like these, where do you go? You go straight to the Ghana Medical and Dental Council?
No, it depends on where the individual would wish to go. You see, we have institutional settings that really investigate, cases that people might not be satisfied with. In this particular case, a complaint may have been made to the 37 Military Hospital, and it would have gone through Director Med of the Armed Forces, and then later, if they think that, or if the complainant thinks that a case should be made or a complaint should be made to the Medical and Dental Council, irrespective of the fact that they have made a complaint to the 37 Military Hospital and its hierarchy, we can also take it up from there. So when we have issues with people not being satisfied with whatever happens in any institution, once the individual so concerned is registered by the Medical and Dental Council, I mean the medical and dental doctors, physician assistants, and certified registered anesthetists, a complaint will be made to the Medical and Dental Council for the Medical and Dental Council to conduct its own investigation and arrive at a final determination on whatever the case may be.
Now, very briefly, Dr. Atikwi, sorry to cut you there, but issues about negligence more often than not have emerged. Does anything really happen to those found culpable? And how do we verify that indeed actions and sanctions are applied?
Your question again, please.
I'm asking that more often we hear about cases of negligence, but really, does anything happen to those found culpable?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you had followed the Medical and Dental Council, you would have noticed that, Council had considered a number of cases, and the cases were finally determined, and sanctions were really applied to the practitioners who were found to be negligent.
We're grateful for your time. That's the Registrar of the Ghana Medical and Dental Council.
Let's speak to Dr. Justice Yangsi. He's the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. Joins us on the telephone line right now. Dr. Yangsi, thank you for your time here on Newsnight. I mean, I don't know if you follow this particular story, but many blame the doctors under such circumstances. But walk us through what will be the thinking behind, splitting your patient's head, aborting the process, repeating the process up. Just whole traumatic experience that the family tell that they went through. You are a doctor yourself. You know what happens in the theater.
Well, Evans, first and foremost, let me express my condolences to the bereaved family. I know these are difficult times for them. But back to your substantive question, the issue of ill-equipped health facilities is one that is a big concern to everybody. To be honest with you, medical practitioners are not happy when they go to work and they don't have the basic tools to work with. Either they are either non-existent to start off with, or they are simply not well functional in terms of what they are expected to do. In some cases, they are not functional at all. If I heard properly, I think in this case, the surgeon started the procedure, and somewhere along the line, the equipment, could not function properly and what have you. I don't want us to go into the merits of this issue so much, but the focus, as you said, what we do, i.e., when the health facilities are not properly equipped, it is a big bother. Countless occasions, I'm sure you may have heard situations where, for example, Kolebu, at some point, the neurosurgery department couldn't perform, surgeries because the ICU was non-functional. There have been instances where we've had to postpone surgeries, whether it's general surgery, pediatric surgery, all over the place. I mean, it happens. And these are supposed to be our premier hospitals. When you scale it down to the community district level, sometimes the situation is just appalling. And I think as a country, it is about time we prioritize health properly. Not just prioritization, but we should prioritize it properly and make sure that within a certain short to medium term, period, we agree that we are going to ensure that our hospitals are what they ought to be. Our premier hospital, for example, for me, anytime you go in there, just the outlook as well as some of the ill-equipped places within gives you cause to worry. As a country, we have a lot of comparative advantage when it comes to healthcare delivery within the sub-region. And if we are able to fix our health institutions properly, for example, Kolebu being our premier hospital, if we equip it such that anybody anywhere within the country, if you are asked to go to Kolebu, you go there as a happy person, the country is going to benefit immensely from such, decisions that go to the very heart of healthcare delivery. And I think it is about time we started focusing on tooling the health facilities properly, together with the training of the right caliber of persons that we need.
Okay. I'm grateful that you joined us. Justice Yangsing is the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. So listen to Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM. A few of your messages coming through on this particular story. Nana on the Spintos Road says, if the government hospital is in need of equipment replacement, why are we in a hurry to build a national cathedral? Can't we channel money to improve such situations? Haven't we enough churches in this capital of ours? Nana sent us that one.
And Koshi Apawu says these are the everyday experiences we suffer from within our health system. And yes, the president doesn't comment on our health system during his briefing last week. Sad indeed. I had similar experience in Kolebu in 2016 and 2019. My mom and father-in-law just died. No one cares, he says. I'm sure the president addressed the issue about health. And this one also, okay, so we've taken this one from Nana on the Spintex Road already. A number of your messages. This one also says, this is very, very bad of our hospital in Ghana. My question I always ask is, should we have trust and hope in our health workers? Douglas from DC sends that one in. We'll go for business, but it's a good time to say the Lord's Prayer.
Recite the Lord's Prayer.
Our Mother, who art in earth, high and high again, give us our wicked bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as our Father do us. Don't do us like that.
George is here with the business prayer. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. Let's get the business news. And government pegs cost of financial sector cleanup so far at 17.7 billion Ghana cedis as receiver out of the defined institution begins another round in clearing these locked up funds. And McDonough Aviation to open the Terminal 1 for commercial operations from next month. The initial focus on private jet services. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
Mr. Barr has big dreams for his business, Barr & Co. Limited, and his family, making them a reality man to long drives and queues. He's lost precious time struggling to pay his suppliers in China, Turkey, India, and other parts of the world. With the First National Bank global payment via our online banking enterprise, he now pays for all that in the convenience of his home or office, giving him time to focus on family and growing his business. Use our online banking enterprise to access Forex when you need it. It takes a bank that does more to help your family. So who's helping yours? First National Bank. How can we help you?
I'm back. What kind of phone is this? Hey, Joe, into the coloring toy, I'll be running you. Chance not for you. Uber upgrade. Shasuna dialing. *120*1#. Nabeka MTN Resume level promo. If we and never pin every busumi in a year, would your Kosuna use with MTN number? No. Do more. Now, wait me, we need one of the 20,000 iPro Amber 5S phones. Cafe door. Bob, come on. Test it. Now, for Chama Monica. Agbena. Kaise Ubechenu Rintono. So, Osaka iPro Amber 5S phone. MTN Resume level promo. New year, new phone, new ringtone. We are good together. We're there for you everywhere you go.
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Boost and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Boost and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
We know it's important to create a productive and supportive working environment by investing in your employees' health. With a leading international track record, Apex Health Insurance is regulated and licensed by the National Health Insurance Authority to provide medical insurance services to institutional clients, families, and individuals. Apex Student Package and International Medical Solutions are all here to cushion you. Visit Apex Health Insurance Office at Zion House, Boundary Road, Shiashi, or call
0501-683-914
or 0232-000-015. In Kumasi, we are located opposite Prempeh College, Sofo Line, and in Takrady, Apex Health, your preferred health insurer.
To be successful, you need to have an eye to spot opportunities and a plan to harness them. Amazing products like Waka Now Pay Small Small. Yes, Pay Small Small allows you to lock down great travel deals with a down payment of only 25%, leaving you with cash to meet other pressing needs. You have the liberty to pay the balance in up to 3 convenient installments. Be smart. Use Pay Small Small. Visit wakanow.com.gh to get started.
Waka Now. Let's go.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Welcome back to Business on News. Now, government says it has spent 17.7 billion Ghana cedis in cleaning up the financial sector. This was contained in a statement issued by the Finance Ministry on funds that have been spent so far in the process. A while ago, I put together this report on a statement issued by the Finance Ministry.
The Finance Ministry in a statement added that the 17.7 billion Ghana cedis that has been advanced towards the resolution of all the financial institutions, 11.65 billion Ghana cedis has been spent on the banking sector, 6.1 billion Ghana cedis on specialized deposit-taking institutions as well as the microfinance firms. The ministry noted that they are hopeful the fast tracking of the prosecution and civil recovery processes would help improve the situation in terms of government realizing back this money for the treasury. It also noted that they are hopeful the payment will help improve liquidity in the banking sector as well as businesses and individuals that had their funds locked up pending the completion of this receivership exercise. The statement added that the receiver and the consolidated bank will provide all the affected depositors with a detailed plan and procedures to fully settle all the outstanding claims in cash and fixed instruments, while the claims have been validated in line with the resolution process. Joy Business is learning that the actual payment could kick off from tomorrow. Now, this is because that final cleanup on those validated claims was done today.
Let's move on to other stories. And McDan Aviation says it plans to open the Terminal 1 at the Kotoka International Airport for commercial operations from next month. The company has been given a 15-year logistics contract by government to manage the facility. Under the deal, McDan has signed an agreement with the U.S. military to provide logistics and handling services. Speaking to Joy Business, Chief Executive of McDan Group, Daniel Macaulay, says the initial focus will be on commercial private jet services.
We're bringing 2 private jets and to the terminal, and all private jets will land there. If you want to fly anywhere all over the world, you walk through the terminal, you have your own private jets and fly wherever you want to go. Yeah, so it's for private jets. It's a private jet terminal.
Commercialized private jets. So you are McDan is managing this terminal for these private jets.
Yes, for this private jet. We also own 2 private jets. Yes.
So every business can get them.
Business can come and fly our private jets.
So at the end of the day, what are you hoping to achieve by offering the ease to private businesses, or what?
No, we have to grow the sub-region. It's not only business for me. It's also business to grow the sub-region. And if you check, no such businesses are in the sub-region. Moving within West Africa and Africa is so tough and so difficult.
Chief Executive of McDan Group of Companies, Dr. Daniel Macaulay. Now, some players in the petroleum industry are questioning how the price regulation policy is being implemented. The program was actually started in 2015 and was to ensure that market prices actually reflect the market conditions on the global conditions. But then recent developments in the market has raised concerns about whether the players are actually complying with this policy. Let's hear from Duncan Amwa, his Chief Executive of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers.
Deregulation would have worked in Ghana if we didn't have as much taxes, if the city didn't play as much of a role. Unfortunately, all the other dynamics like I've indicated, if you look at the price build currently, the only part where deregulation works is the OMC's margin. Okay, so they have a choice to either sell and get full margins or reduce their. That's the only part. All other elements in the price build are cast in stone. There's no relief anywhere. And we are saying that let's tweak the price build up a bit so that it responds when world market dynamics are favorable. It responds when taxes go down. It responds when CD is able to stabilize against the major trading currency, the dollar.
Former Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority, Alex Mo, tells Joy Business there is no justification for all the players not to comply.
We put nice words around things, and then we don't tell people exactly what the frequency will be for us to check to see whether we should increase it or not. So deregulation is an automatic price adjustment. That's my understanding of deregulation, right? That's what deregulation is. Deregulation is not how much you can milk the consumer for. The deregulation basically says that if there is a decrease in price, that decrease in price will be reflected in the pump price. If there's an increase in price, that increase will be reflected in the pump price. That's what deregulation is about. My question is, prices have dropped, so why aren't we seeing this reflected in the pump price? That's a simple question.
Former Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority, Alex Mo. Now, General Insurance Company Activa says it will soon introduce an online portal to give users a one-stop shop for all their insurance needs. According to the company, the move is not only seeks to increase insurance accessibility, but also complement the efforts of the regulator. Here is Managing Director of Activa, Solomon Latte, who spoke to Joy Business.
We are bringing out an insurance portal. Get a quotation, buy insurance, pay with your Visa, MasterCard or mobile money, and even access insurance premium finance online, because we have partnerships with some financial institutions that will provide loans for payment of premiums. We believe that this will be a game changer for people in Ghana. From all these sources, you can also manage your claim. So you track your policy, track claims. If you have a claim, you go online. There are specific garages that you can work with. You can lodge your claim online and follow it. Some claims will be settled immediately, same day. If they are complex, we'll go through the process and get them settled.
Solomon Latte is the Managing Director of Activa Insurance. And that's all for Business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, George, for that. Let's take some of your comments that you sent in via WhatsApp. A number of you commenting on this 37 issue that we reported on earlier. I went through the same thing at Georgia Government Hospital. If given the opportunity, I'll tell my story. Definitely will contact you for that. And then listening to this incident has brought back some bad memories. I'm crying remembering how my mom was treated there too when she passed. I remember it like yesterday.
And texter is talking about 37 Military Hospital. A short while ago, there's a statement that we received from the Ghana Armed Forces, and in reaction to the 37 Military Hospital story. And I want to quickly bring you the details of this. It's signed by Colonel Agri Kwashi, who is the Director of Public Relations. And they make reference to a video that in which the patient's relatives had, made the allegations on Asampa FM, and the video apparently had also circulated quite widely. And the Ghana Armed Forces tells us in the statement that the preliminary investigations have been constituted into the matter, and that also, in view of also ascertaining the full facts, and that's why they've set up the committee. It says that based on the outcome of the investigations, the hospital management would take the requisite action in line with its rules and regulations. So as of tonight, the 37 Military Hospital, Ghana Armed Forces have set up a committee, and they've begun preliminary investigations with the view of ascertaining the full facts. They maintain that they're assuring all patrons, families, and patients of the hospital of everything will be done professionally to get to the bottom of this.
Let's do sports now. Benedict, you have the latest.
Well, a lot of reactions have come in following a Asante Kotoko shock run of 64 MTN FA Cup exits. Now, they lost 2-1 to lower division side Asokwa Deportivo at the Obuasi Play Stadium yesterday. Now, there's a viral video of the fans hooting at the players for what they describe as a poor performance from the team. Now, this afternoon, there was a meeting between head coach Max Okunede, the players, and executive chairman Dr. Kwame Che. Aside the elimination from the cup competition, they are winless in their last 3 games, something Dr. Kwame Che is unhappy with. Now, here is communications director of the club, Kennedy Bwachianza.
Dr. Kwame Che is on Tantoko to actually address the kind of results that we've been achieving in recent times. As you already know, we are out of the MTFA Cup as a result of the fact that we lost at Asokwa Deportivo. And the chairman actually had a meeting to find out from the players and the technical team as to why we're having this string of poor results.
That's Kennedy Bwachian, Science Communications Director at Kumasi Asante Kotoko. MTN FA Cup games played this afternoon. Legon Cities are through to the next stage as a round of 32 after beating Interlice by 3-0 at the Accra Stadium. Dwarfs are out. They lost 5-6 on penalties to Star Madrid, and Kim Faisal were the big winners today as they beat lower division side Thunderbolt 6-0. It is going to happen. This is according to Eddie Hen, who has promised a fight between new WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury and IBF, IBO, WBA, WBO heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua.
I promise you, this fight will happen. As long as they win, if we have to fight Pulev, we've got to beat Pulev. And if he has to fight Wilder, he's got to beat Wilder again. Both of those things will happen. Fury will beat Wilder again, and AJ will knock Pulev clean out, despite Bob Arum telling us very differently. And you will get this fight. We will do everything that it takes to make this fight.
So there will be a game tonight. Liverpool are up against West Ham United in the English Premier League.
Okay. So yeah, then now, and Evan says what? That was bewildered. Was he?
No, I mean, I just think that I don't see how Wilder can ever beat Fury, because there are many who actually believe that even the first fight, Fury won that fight. But because it was in America, a lot of the experts believe that he won that fight. The second fight too.
But the first fight, Wilder knocked Fury down.
Yeah, but he came back.
Yeah, he came
back. But before that knockdown, he was leading on all the cards until that round. Even that round, he won apart from that knockdown. So many thought if he had gone, he won that fight. The second fight too, as we watched it, clearly he beat him. I mean, he did. But what I said,
he had a lot of problems coming into the fight.
Of course, we expect that he would say that. It's like you know what happens when you lose. You find something to say.
But you could clearly see something was wrong with Wilder.
No,
you could see it.
No, it was
like go back and watch the fight.
I watched that. I've watched the fight.
Watch it again
3 times. I've watched it the entire thing.
Just look at the first 20 seconds of the first round.
3 times.
You clearly could tell that the guy came in.
No,
something.
It was in the second round when he got that knock in the ear that disturbed his equilibrium. That's when he started stuttering. So it's clear.
That's your analysis of the ball.
You need to be on First Take on Friday with the team.
You
so let's talk about our Arrive Alive campaign, and we're continuing our series on accidents that shook the nation as part of this campaign to stop the deaths on Ghana's road. Let's hear the story of the wife of one of the 3 Kolebu Teaching Hospital urologists who died in a 2005 accident. She is forced to relive the trauma of losing her husband anytime she hears news of a crash. Maxwell Wagba has more.
But I try that at each anniversary.
Wife of one of the doctors, Dr. Cecilia Benchi, shows me articles she authored about the ghastly accident that claimed her husband's life. In August 2005, Dr. Isaac Benchi was returning from a monthly outreach program in the Bronx-Ahafo region, but he never reached home. He died with his senior, Professor John Quarty, and 34-year-old Dr. Benjamin Osewiafe.
So the car came to pick him, and something funny happened. After I had gone in and was closing the gate, he came back, knocked, said, Mokomaba again, but he had already said he was going. So each time you hear a crash, my heart bleeds. The carnage on our roads, they are man-made, I would call disaster. People are in prison for little things, but people are killing others on the road. I am wondering what happens to them.
And that's Dr. Enchi there. You know, she's remembering how she lost the husband, who is a urologist, as part of the 3 that lost their lives back then as part of our Arrive
Alive. And you were telling me a short while ago that no makeup while driving. You've been making up while you've been driving.
Yeah,
please stop that, because
you've been texting whilst driving. You actually work whilst driving.
I mean, I'm guilty of that as well. And nowadays, actually, anytime I'm tempted to take my phone, I remember hashtag Arrive Alive. Then I check myself.
Leave your phones at the back seat.
Well,
that's the best way, because you'll be tempted at any given opportunity. You want to check your phone.
Leave your makeup bag in the back seat as well.
No, makeup before you sit in the car.
Well, yeah, in case you're in the rush.
If you're in traffic and you just open
No, you get distracted. Have you ever happened to you where you move and somebody was just about crossing you? Yeah, so even in traffic, so just don't do it. Avoid it.
That's your tip there.
Let's do the National Science and Maths quiz is still on, and they are intelligent, smart, and possess great dexterity in science and mathematics. I'm talking about the girls from Our Lady of Mount Carmel Girls SHS. They heavily defeated their contenders in the ongoing Bono East Regional Qualifiers at the National Science and Maths quiz. The ladies left nothing to chance, gathering 73 points. Wow. A whopping 63 points difference between the opponents and the highest so far in the nationwide qualifiers. Your victory secures them a place at the National Championship later this year. The contestants have been excited as far as this contest is concerned. We're following this, and as you know, we are partners to the National Science and Maths quiz. We'll bring you the latest updates on the regional contest as we go along. But in the meantime, as we end, best time to say the Lord's Prayer, Emefa.
Say yours.
Huh?
Say it.
Well, you said yours yesterday in church, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it at home.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's listen to it as we wrap up this evening's edition of News Night. Of course, Nanan Sakwao is up next with That's My Opinion. He's become the ambassador for Arrive Alive campaign, but you want to stay for What's His Opinion today. I am Emefa Apawu.
And my name is Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Recite the Lord's Prayer.
Our Mother, who art in earth, high and high again.